Hello and welcome to Issues of the Moment. Environmental challenges, climate change and outbreak of diseases have been a major threat to food security on the African continent. Farmers' output has been dropping year on year, while the population and demand for food has been on the increase. Scientists over the years have been conducting researches and coming up with innovations that will improve yield per hectare. And genome editing is one of such technology identified by the African Union Development Agency, AUDA, as panacea to the identified food security challenges. What is this genome editing? What impact will it have on food security? And how will it be acceptable to farmers? Answers to these and more will come your way when you meet my guest on Issues of the Moment. My name is Justin Bemwi and I welcome you to the program. Hello, once again, I thank you so much for joining us on the program Issues of the Moment. Today, our focus is on genome editing technology in Africa and food security. And my guest is the supervisor, Abuja Nepad Center of Excellence in Science, Technology and Innovation. He's also the expert in plant breeding and genetics. And my guest is Professor Olalekon Akimbo. Well, Prof, thank you so much for joining us on the program Issues of the Moment. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Justin, for inviting me.
Yes, we're talking about genome editing technology in Africa and how it relates to food security. This appears to be a new and emerging technology, the genome editing technology. Can you enlighten us what this is all about? And of course, how can the ordinary Nigerian, like anyone else out there who is not a scientist, how can he understand what this means, genome editing technology, what it is all about?
Thank you so much for the invitation and the intro. That is very kind of you. Genome editing is, as been mentioned, is an emerging technology. It's a technology that just come in as a sort of research and the use of innovation that is coming, because we know the stage we are in the world is the world of innovation, taking advantage of knowledge that we have now beyond the knowledge that our forefathers was having. And coming to the issue of genome editing, it is the technology that you can use to improve the knowledge of DNA, to improve on a particular component of either plant, either animal, knowing fully that both plant, animal, microorganisms will have DNA, and using that information in the laboratory to improve on the deficit that could not be improved using the conventional procedure that we know.
Okay, so this is a new technology, and let's have a closer look at it. With what you just said, can you vividly, spell out how different this technology is from what we knew before, talking about the GMO, genetically modified organisms? What makes genome editing technology different from GMOs that we knew before?
Thank you. This is very different in the sense that GMO, we call it genetically modified organism. That is, you can also say it's a transgenic. Okay. Transgenic is using resources, using information from other organisms aside the organism that you want to improve on that organism, taking advantage of another host that has been used, that is the strength of that host. But because the information that you have with DNA, you can take that DNA from outside organism to improve on a particular organism. But in case of genome editing, that is not the case. You are still using technology, but you are working within the same organism. I will give a practical example. A practical example in a way that you want to the particular plant or animal to express a particular trait that could help that plant to produce more. But there are some part of that organism we call inside the DNA that is the information carrier that is not allowing the particular trait that you wanted to express, that is blocking it. You can use technology to remove that. Okay. And now allow the plant or animal itself to heal itself, the healing process. When that healing process happens, what you are expected to express in that plant can be expressed easily without hindrances. A case in point. Okay. You want a plant to be tall. Naturally, that plant is not tall. And what makes that plant to be tall is expressed. It's not expressed in the plant, but it has the potential in the plant because there is a particular part of the plant that is hidden, that is affecting that trait not to be expressed. But because of the information, you can remove that blockage. It's like a blockage in the cell. You can remove it and allow the plant to heal itself, to join it together again, so that what you want it to be expressed can be expressed without hindrance. That is just what you call genome editing, using information within a particular organism without bringing in external organism to help express that in the plant.
Prof, can we use a particular crop maybe here as a plain example? Maybe someone out there to maybe have an understanding. Can you get a crop and a particular character or trait we're talking about based on maybe disease resistance or maybe climate resistance or maybe yield performance? Get me a crop and then maybe you now use this to describe this.
Let me use cassava.
Okay.
Cassava, as we know, has high cyanide. Okay. The reason why cassava has cyanide is to fight against disease, okay, or to fight against things that is fighting the plant. It's like a defense mechanism. That's part of the cassava that is producing that cyanide. You can use the technology to make that component in the plant not to be able to produce that cyanide. You silence it. That is there, but you are using technology to silence it. So when you have done that, you see that expression of high cyanide in cassava will not be there. So when you now produce that cassava now, after it has been genome edited, it will be cyanide free. So, and the cyanide is a problem because for us to consume cassava, you need to remove the cyanide. So at the end of the day, you have cassava that is not toxic to your body. That's just a simple case I can easily use now that we can relate to in Nigeria. Okay, and this now from the example you just gave, it relates to maybe high yield. It also relates to with that example now, it's the issue of diseases that make the plant will be fighting against will no more be there. Okay. And then that will now improve on yield. I will give you a simple scenario. If you are healthy, you perform better. You don't need to struggle. But if you are not healthy, you can't perform very well. You struggle. To help will now come from outside to give you medicine for you to be healthy. So when you are not healthy, you can't perform to your optimum. So a plant, because they are not healthy, they are struggling, they want to defend themselves first before they can now start storing food to increase in yield. But if that barrier has been removed, then you can see that we increase productivity. Yield will increase, then we get more to store.
Okay, with all this you've said, how important and of course necessary would you say this technology is to Africa?
Thank you. As I always say, Africa is an agrarian continent. And agrarian continent in a sense that we depend more on agriculture because we have a lot of cultivate the soil, the good soil, and the land that is you can cultivate to yield more. The importance is instead of us cultivating big land with little yield or little returns. You can cultivate small land, but the yield productivity will be increased. The hours you spend to cultivate a big land, you can use that hour to cultivate just small land, and you still get the same result. So if you now want to cultivate that big land now, you get more yield. And getting more yield, you have enough for yourself, enough for your family, you can sell the other. So based on this, you discover that the time we spend farming will be reduced because you get more in productivity.
So in this case, so far now, what is the level of acceptability of this technology on the African continent?
Yeah, thank you. I think this technology is very new, as you have also
Yes.
mentioned in your introduction. The acceptance now from where this country that we have been to is very high, because the political tempo, the high government official that we have discussed, that we have met with in those countries, have shown a strong political will, and they have also put in place enabling environment for the technology to be harnessed. And coming from the policy, if we have good policy, which we have seen now, you discover that to take up a new technology, there is no barrier. And as I always mention, innovation is the beginning, which is genome editing now. Yes. If innovation is hindered by the policy of a particular country, then the two will not marry together to result in the end user, that is the livelihood of people. So, but because the policy maker, they see the benefit in this technology, that one, it is safe for the people, one, it increased productivity, two, it can also translate within the shortest time with saving the environment. Instead of cultivating 20 hectares to still get 20 tons per hectare, you can cultivate like 2 hectares to still get 20 tons per hectare. So with that, you have conserved time, you have saved money, and also you have more time to gain things. So with this, you see the acceptance that we have had from the policymaker is very high, and we are looking for to the future, that by the time this technology is fully blown, that is, they have sufficient, many of the national crop of interest has been improved on, you will see that there's a lot of returns that will come to each country that have adapted.
Wow. You are the head of one of the centers of excellence, talking about the science, technology and innovation center of excellence of the Outer NEPAD. That's the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. Now, what is the role of this Outer NEPAD, in propagating this technology across the continent? What role are you playing?
Thank you. The role of African Union Development Agency in innovation is, one, to work with the Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, in order to achieve the aspiration of the continent, that is zero hunger. That is, within the continent, nobody should be able to go to bed without food. And when we are food secure, we will be security secure. So that is the role. And what are the mandate of the AUD NEPAD at this point for the centers of excellence is to drive the implementation of Agenda 2063. And one of the pillars of Agenda 2063 is zero hunger, aspiration of our presidents.
Okay, now let's talk about policy issues. Initially, you started talking about nations, them keying into this technology in the aspect of policy, and you commended some countries. Now, how far has Nigeria gone, in support for the adoption and implementation of this technology, and how can you relate this to other African countries? How Nigeria has, in terms of policy, how has Nigeria, what has Nigeria done to support this technology in relation to other countries?
Thank you, Justin. I think Nigeria has not done badly. Nigeria has done well. One, to support this technology, you need an enabling environment. That's a component of policy. And when you're talking about enabling environment, Nigeria has created an agency, National Biosafety Management Agency, which the Director General, Dr. Agnes. You know, when that is in place, is the starting point. And most of the countries that we have been to, we see that when they have the enabling environment, that is the policy driver. And that shows that the government of that country have already prepared the house for the technology to be taken up. Because you can't speak of the technology that globally, they say, either you regulate or you don't regulate. But for you to decide whether it's to be regulated or not to be regulated, you need a government agency that will be able to certify, that will be able to give an approval that, oh yes, this one contains transgene, regulate. This one does not contain transgene, don't regulate. But for the case of Nigeria, they have policy, they have guideline in place, which has given Nigeria a good background, a baseline for them to adopt the technology. In what is what we have seen also in Nigeria is that leadership. Nigeria has taken a lot of leadership for the technology. That's why you see NAFDA. NAFDA is a policy organ for Nigeria. They are the driver. They are the lead institution that is driving this technology in this country. And their DG has already been very, very supportive, which is the voice of the minister. And you see, in the past, before the transition that we have now, the minister also have already been very, very supportive. And if you can get those level of policy maker believing in the technology, that is innovation, driving innovation to commercialization, so that the benefit will come to the farmer, then it's exceptional. So across the continent, Nigeria is one of the key countries that has really shown a political will for the use of this technology, knowing fully from the government decision that they are deregulating, they are focusing more on agriculture, so that at the end of the day, everywhere in the country, everybody will have sufficient to feed on.
Now, you're talking about regulation here. Let's look closely about the issue of regulation and, of course, safety of this technology. You know, this is an emerging technology, as we have emphasized and re-emphasized. And the issue of safety comes to mind first when new emerging technologies like this, or issues of adopting this kind of technologies or implementing them, come to mind. What do you have to talk about the safety of this technology? Is there any worry?
At this point, I will not say no, and I will not say yes, because in every technology, there is always a pathway. That is the role of regulator, so that it's not a blanket journey. But at the same time, before any technology is released, there is what we call watchdog, and that's what the MBMA of Nigeria is doing. And when you're talking of safety, everything the scientists has done before they get to the regulator, they will do their checkmate to confirm it is safe. If it is not safe, it should not go beyond the laboratory. That's first thing. That's the component of science. That's why trust your scientists. If your scientists say, I've done this work, it's true, and it is passed through to the regulatory body, and the regulatory body also, they do their due diligence and say, certified safe on the condition of going through the procedure. How is this simple analogy about when you are talking of safety? Because most of the day, people ask the question of safety blindly. And safety is a function of trust. And trust comes to who is behind the cross. If you trust your government, Nigeria trusts the MBMA, that MBMA will give you the mandate to check this out. And the MBMA say, on behalf of Nigerian government, we put together our scientists and say, this is safe. We should trust the government. So safety is a function of trust. And safety also have a variation. It's not a blanket statement. Give you an example. We're in your studio. If you don't trust your engineer that the construction is okay, you will not sit down here. Exactly. So because you trust them, you know you are safe. So in the same thing, when your government have put policy in place and that policy is adhered to, and the constituted institution have said that checking through scientific fact and knowledge, you say this is considered safe, then they should be trusted, that it is safe. But in all, at this point, the technology have not posed any risk with where it has been adopted. But the peculiarity of Africa, or in Nigeria in particular now, is that the crop of interest will be crop of national interest. And it will be scientists in Nigeria that will develop the crop that will be of interest to Nigeria, that they can relate to. So it is not a foreign researcher that will do the work. It is their scientists, Nigerian scientists, in their Nigerian institution that will develop it. So at the end of the day, if I develop a genome edited product in Nigeria, I'm a Nigerian, I eat from Nigerian state. My family are here. So if I'm saying that, oh, this is good, I can eat it. Then when I consider, say, you trust me, and you give it to, I give it to you, you take it. Do we ask question about pap or corn? No, because we have seen it, people have been eating it. Our father eat it. When we are young, they gave it to us. We don't ask questions. Why? Because we trust our parents. So if government has put in place policy regulation to allow the process to continue, then when the government say it is safe, let's trust them that it is safe.
Okay, now at this point, Nigeria, I understand, has validated a national document on communication and advocacy strategy and action plan on genome editing in the country. What does this mean for Nigeria? Thank
you. What it means is you have a guiding document for communication, and you have the stratas of stakeholders that must be communicated to. And every stakeholder does not speak the same language. The interests of different stakeholders diverse. They are different. For instance, as a journalist, you are looking for sensational news. What is the need for you? As a policymaker, they are looking for the statement that when they take it to their electorate, they can win. For farmer, they want to see yield increments in their farm. For industry, they want to see return of investment. The essence of the guideline and the communication strategy is to speak to every segment, to speak to every stakeholder, so that their right language will be spoken to them in understanding the technology, so that they are familiar. You are not speaking above their head. I can't come to the media now and now start talking deoxyribonucleic acid. I can't start talking RNA analyzer. I can't start because it doesn't make sense to you. It's jargon. We call it, you media, because this is a jargon. Because to science, it's not a jargon. That's the learning language. We know it. But to layman, it doesn't make sense. What a farmer wants to hear is that this seed, if the disease comes, it will not be affected. If you put it on your soil, it will give you better yield. That's what they want to know. How you make it is not a concern. So you bring this information, scientific information, to different category of stakeholders. So, and that is the essence of that communication strategy, that every stakeholder's interest is covered, and you can set out the communications language for every stakeholder, that they will be able to understand the technology. And it's also opportunity for them to be part of the process, because if you see that validation that has just ended today, you see that the stakeholders, they are wider stakeholders. Those that develop it, they are fewer. But this new stakeholder, they brought in their genuity of things that the first drafter, they have left out. And so we're able to say, okay, when they see the document, they say, okay, you are speaking to my constituency.
Okay, Prof, just before I let you go, with the approval, adoption, and of course implementation of this new technology in the country now, before I let you go, what would be your parting word, to Nigerians concerning this technology, just briefly?
Thank you. I always say, anywhere I go, compassionately, that if we don't innovate today, there is no prosperity tomorrow. If you are given an opportunity to leave a legacy that will outlive you. For this technology, all of us, we are in a position to do the right thing for the next generation. we are sitting in a space that the next generation will look at our record and they will say, oh, they have done well. Nigeria is big. Challenges are diverse, but we have a lot of opportunity in diversity. If you see this as something that could help, which I'm telling you will be helpful, we agree with the government. We tell the government, this technology that our scientists say is good, let's bring it on board and let's mainstream it. When I say mainstreaming, let's government put fund into it, not an external, not from the outside people giving us money. If that comes to place and innovation has been given a priority, because if you don't drive innovation, then you don't get the benefit from innovation. And if you bring this on board and you make it as holistic, because we're in a generation that you don't innovate today, you cannot see prosperity tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Olalekun Akimbo. Thank you so much for having time to come to on this program to enlighten us on this new and, of course, emerging technology in agriculture and crop production. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Justin, for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, this is Issues of the Moment, and genome editing technology in Africa and food security has been our focus on the edition today. And my guest has been Professor Olalekun Akimbo, the supervisor, Aude Nepad Center of Excellence in Science, Technology and Innovation. He is also an expert in plant breeding and genetics. I thank you so much for your time with us on the program. My name is Justin Bemunyi, and I say bye for now.